Hi, this is Nathan Basil, aka Leslie Vernon, and you are listening to The Knife Shift.
Hey, it's Alex Vincent, Andy Barkley from the Chucky franchise. You're listening to the Knife Shift podcast. Keep listening, or these guys will kill you.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first ever The Knife Shift podcast. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we are real.
We are.
We exist.
If maybe only in your imagination.
We are not just legend.
We're glad to be doing this because we're lifelong horror fans. I guess we should introduce ourselves first. My name's Jonas. I know, don't even think about the words you're saying. We already heard it from Alex Vincent today. But no, I'm Jonas, and my co-host in this this venture into the weird and wild world of the blood-soaked is
Jesse. Woo!
Yay!
You may know me from the Looking Glass, either reviews or playthroughs, or you don't. There's a handful of elites out there that may already know who I am.
There could be. I mean, YouTube is a big place. You never know.
Vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
Why, thank you. If you haven't figured it out already, yes, we're in a car. So don't expect our audio quality to be amazing, but this should be the only one that we do like this because we are coming back from Astronomicon 3.
And what a trip it was.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I gotta admit, this is my first horror convention. Well, I guess, can you really call it a horror convention? Because
I think it was a horror convention.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, no, you got it.
It was probably more, I think they were right in the description, it's like a pop culture kind of thing. There were a lot of different things going on, but we could really call it a horror con just because of the vendor's room. Holy crap.
It was wonderful.
It was amazing. I was tempted to go into severe debt. Thankfully, I did not.
This was Astronomicon 3, so it's their third year then? Astronomicon 3?
It was the third year, and this was put on by the rap group Twisted, which we did not know until the day before we left. So that was kind of funny. We're just like, oh, we're going to run into a bunch of juggalos down there, and then we find that out. Oh, fuck yeah, we're running into some juggalos down there.
But, you know, regardless of that, it doesn't really affect us. We went there for what we went there for, and everyone was nice, so, and respectful for a convention.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised for being who put it on. I mean, I'm not knocking the juggalos. I mean, we were all 13 at one point, but yeah, I expected it to be more of a madhouse, and it was pretty subdued for what it was.
And I won a bet. You want to talk about that?
Oh, what's that?
The bet.
Oh, the bet. Damn it. Yeah, I lost a bet. I've been to a few conventions myself, and one of the things, it seems like a staple, no matter what kind of convention you go to, there's someone in a fursuit. There was no fursuit this time, and I lost a bet for $5.
There were no furries.
I'm amazed. I mean, I know it's becoming more popular than ever, and somehow I owe this man $5. So take that for what you will. Maybe there was, if you were at Astronomicon 3 and you were a furry dressed up, let me know so this guy can pay me back the $5 I'm going to give him.
No false leads either, because the bet is done.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty much over. We're in the car going home. I don't think we're going to see hey, there's one on the side of the road. No.
What? I actually looked. I'm like, what?
No, I couldn't get that lucky.
Oh, so in either way, that wouldn't be at the convention. It wouldn't count.
All right, yeah.
So there were no furries, and that was an easy $5. I have to be honest, I was kind of nervous. I'm like, dang it, what if there only needs to be one furry for me to lose this bet?
I had my phone at the ready. I was ready to snap a picture the moment I saw ears and a tail walk by. And it never fucking happened. I can't believe it.
So talk a little bit about, because you haven't been to very many conventions. I've been to Horror Hound. I've been to I go to Motor City Comic Con, Motor City Nightmares.
Right.
I've been to Wizard World, a lot of these. So what are the few conventions that you have been to? Like what were they like?
Well, full disclosure, I was into the fandom of the furries for a little while, and I went to the Anthrocon in 2016, and oh man, there was Califer back in 2014, and then there was a now defunct con that was outside of Detroit. It was in Novi, and it was called oh man, I cannot think of the name of it. I think it was further something north. Yeah, I'd have to get somebody else to remember that one for me. But the best convention I'd been to before this was definitely the Anthrocon, because that was just so much going on all the time. But I stayed like all 3 nights for that one too, so I wasn't under the gun, kind of like we were today, but I don't feel like we were too pressured for time. I think we did a pretty good job with time management today.
Yeah, for the most, I know I met everyone that I wanted to meet. We made it to the panel on time, and I looked around the vendors and then some. So for me, it was plenty of time. I know there were a couple that you didn't quite get to.
Yeah, I wanted Fleischer's signature, but it was just it was getting late in the day. We were getting hungry, and after standing in line for so many other signatures today, I was kind of out of it.
And you're kind of spoiled because there were next to no lines for signatures today. If there were, they were tiny in comparison to like Motor City Comic Con.
No, you say that, but you did not stand in the Kaufman line.
Right.
The Kaufman line did not move for upwards of 15 to 20 minutes, and then you eked forward 2 feet, got to browse some Blu-rays and DVDs, and you waited another 15 minutes to move another 2 feet forward. I mean, I have to say, I appreciate the shit out of Lloyd Kaufman. That guy's an awesome person, but he goes so far out of his way for his fans. He will literally sign 15 things for one person for free because they waited in line for him. So you can see this is a domino effect, and it just keeps going. The further back in line you are, you're just watching these people pull out these stacks of things for him to sign: comic books, action figures, everything. I'm like, damn, man, his hand has got to be so sore at the end of the night. That explains why one of the points when we went out to the car, we passed Lloyd coming back in from the parking lot, and damn was he smoking some good stuff, because he was, maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was somebody right next to him, but I was smelling some ganj coming off of that guy. But then we're in Michigan, so I mean, everything's legal here now. It's a completely different atmosphere for that kind of thing. I mean, we have to admit, the weed at this con, Jesus, if you are a pothead, Astronomicon is the place for you to go, because we were smelling it left and right. It didn't matter if we were in a panel, outside, in the lobby, it was just everywhere.
And if you're not a pothead,
still go to the con. I mean, it was still a good con.
Good, like, you're gonna have to bear with it to get through that event, because it was everywhere.
It was pungent, I'll give it that. I don't mind the scent of it. Jesse's a little different. He's never partaken, doesn't want to, and I completely respect that.
I don't necessarily enjoy it. The lingering scent on people now.
It's more like skunk ass for you.
Yeah, it smells pretty comparable to skunk.
It's a little bit different when you have the memories associated to it, like being high as a kite and smell that smell, and oh, it brings back memories.
So, I just want to back up for a second. So this is what, the 3rd convention that you've been to?
4th.
So this is the 4th, and all 3 previous conventions were furry conventions?
Yes, and I would say, I mean, take that for what you will. I was a bigger part of my 20s, kind of phasing out of it. The new group of people that are coming into the fandom now are just kind of a little bit too SJW-y kind of thing for me, and I I don't care what anyone's politics are, but it just gets to be the point where if that's all you talk about, then that's not really a personality. So yeah, horror movies, way more where it's at for me right now.
That's fine. Like, I mean, you like what you like, right?
Yeah.
So this was your first horror convention.
Yeah.
And you've been a horror fan all your life.
Yeah, definitely. Ever since. The funny thing is, the first movie I saw that I would even consider a horror movie was Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And that makes me even more mad that I didn't get Fleischer's signature.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I was going to tell him about it.
So who is that?
He was the voice actor that did the voice for Roger Rabbit.
Okay. So that's somebody that you didn't get to meet. Who else did you not get to meet that you wanted to meet?
The only other ones that I could think of, I meant to do Carradine. He was the one of the guys from Revenge of the Nerds.
Okay.
And I was actually thinking that would be an awesome birthday present for my brother. But I just, for one, I already spent too much money today. And I couldn't bring myself to shell out another $40-50. I didn't see what his price actually was, but for the amount of stuff that I got, I don't feel bad that I missed a couple of them. I mean, I stood in Bill Moseley's line almost as long as Kaufman's line, but he was definitely worth it because I got that vinyl I never would have found anywhere else either.
But see, when I say you're spoiled, I'm not comparing your lines to my lines. Obviously, today I had next to no lines for anybody, which was amazing. I'm saying you're spoiled because this is your first horror convention. This is the first convention you met celebrities at before, right?
Right.
So, in comparison to other conventions where you can meet celebrities, where you can end up waiting half hour, if they're super popular, maybe even an hour or so to see them, when the biggest line today was maybe your 15 to 30 minutes for Lloyd Kaufman. So like
this is definitely more than 15 minutes.
Well, I'm just saying, like, try meeting what's his name that everyone's obsessed with from The Walking Dead or something.
Oh yeah. If you tried to meet
Norman Reedus.
Norman Reedus, yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. So like, or even if it's not someone of that, like I met at HorrorCon last year. They had a Scream reunion, which was amazing.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, so like, David Arquette, Matthew Lillard, a bunch of them, you're gonna end up waiting like maybe half hour to meet them. So like,
was it worth it though for guys like Lillard? Were they pretty personable? Were they like asking your name, like, hey, how you doing?
So of course it's worth it. I didn't meet Matthew Lillard at HorrorCon last year. I met him previously at Motor City Nightmares in Novi, because I don't know, he just randomly popped up there as a guest, and that was a really small convention like the one we went to today, where like your time was appreciated, and you're not just another number. They don't rush you through. Like some conventions, it's like you pay for your autograph, and it's not necessarily the celebrity's fault, but you kind of get rushed through by the people that work there, and you're treated more like a number than a human being, and it kind of sucks. But the smaller the convention, and maybe it's small conventions, maybe it's just horror conventions, but things seem to be more personal, and you seem to get more time with the celebrities, and I really like that small con atmosphere that horror conventions give you, or like the ones here around Novi, or where was Astronomicon? Where were we just at?
We were in Sterling Heights.
Okay, so yeah, like these small conventions are awesome, and especially when they are horror conventions and the vendors are all like horror related.
Yeah, when I compare it to the cons that I've been to, it was smaller, but also bigger, which, I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's just, it's like the convention space itself was kind of small, but as much as they jam-packed in there, it felt like a bigger con.
Yeah. Yeah, there were quite a bit of people. We had trouble finding a place to park.
Yeah, we probably patrolled that parking lot, we go around 3 times before we just decided to try to squeeze in between a truck and another car. And it's a good thing that I drive a small car, because otherwise we never would have made it in there.
Yep, it's because they all had trucks.
Everybody in Michigan, it's okay to have a car. I'm just going to say that. You know, it gets you there the same as the truck, and it's a surprisingly efficient vehicle to park. If you ever try to park a truck, you would probably understand what I'm saying, because you need to take up a space and a half with some of these gigantic dually monstrosities that we see tooling up and down the drags here.
I don't know if it's just me or what, but for a second there you sounded like not Malcolm McDowell, Jeff Goldblum. I don't know what it was, the way that, in my head, the way that you were talking, it reminded me of Jeff Goldblum. Anyway, so we talked about who you didn't get to meet. Talk about some of the people you did get to meet, and how that went.
I guess the first person I would mention would be the first signature that I got, and that was, who was first? Tom Atkins. Class act. Love the guy.
He seemed very, enthusiastic and
Oh, yeah. And that's, at his age, to be getting around to all these conventions and stuff. And I could tell he's getting up there, but he's still doing an awesome job. He looks like he could go back into making a movie tomorrow. And Tom, if you're listening to this, I wish you would. You're an awesome actor. But I actually talked to him a little bit, and when we were talking, I mentioned something about hearing him call into the Joe Bob Briggs show that's streaming on Shudder now, The Last Drive-In. Because there was a Halloween hootenanny this year where they played a bunch of the Halloween movies, but they couldn't get Halloween 3. And I was so disappointed by that. But then here comes Tom Atkins on the phone, calling into Joe Bob, saying, maybe we should show that movie sometime. And Darcy the Mail Girl has been trying for the longest time to get him to get the rights for that movie. And I told him, I just love that shtick that you guys did about that over the phone. He's like, well, I'm going down to Texas coming up sometime in the spring, and I'm planning on dropping in on Joe Bob on his one-man show that he's doing out there. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, that's awesome. He's like, yeah, I think I might have to challenge him to a fist fight. I'm like, I will go there if I know you are going to engage in fisticuffs with Joe Bob Briggs. I will bring a camera and popcorn.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I got him to sign my... there were some cards, these really big cards. They look like playing cards that came with the Halloween 3 vinyl soundtrack. And I got him to sign the pumpkin one. I don't know if any of you guys out there have that soundtrack, but now I have a very special edition of that soundtrack. Which I thought, yeah, that's the perfect thing for me. Because I'm such a vinyl nut.
Yeah. Tom Atkins goes to a lot of these conventions, or I'll just say I've seen him go to several conventions that I've gone to, and I just, you're a big fan of the more 80s or older slasher films, and I'm more of a fan of modern horror.
It's not just slashers with it. He was in Escape from New York. I mean, I was just watching that the other day, and I'm like, oh, there's Tom again.
Okay, well, a lot of these horror conventions, they advertise their horror films. So I'm just saying, when you go to a horror convention, you look at the films that they're in.
All of his stuff that have signed that's laid out on the table, 90% of it was horror.
Yeah, but
it was
a lot of the
Halloween 3 and Night of the Creeps, and yeah, there's movies that I need to get you to watch yet.
But they're movies that are kind of just outside of my
Your cinematic wheelhouse.
Yeah. So I just haven't really had a reason to go meet him, but he seems super nice, and I see him around, and I don't know, I was kind of excited that you met him just to hear like, oh, like how was he? Because I don't know, like it's kind of weird to talk about because you're paying these people to meet them in a sense. Like you're not paying them to meet them, you're paying for an autograph.
Right.
But what you really want is to meet them. The autograph is just a symbol that you'll have to keep to remind you of when you met them.
Which is weird because I did get the sense from some that they were a little less than genuine when they're like, oh, so nice to see you, but I'm not going to mention names or anything.
I kind of want to hear names. I'm curious who was less genuine.
I mean, I won't go out and say that they out and out like weren't having a good time or didn't want to be there, but I think it was probably getting late into the day for a lot of them.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
I'll just say this was Saturday. Of any convention, Saturday is going to be the most busy and long. It's literally the longest day. They're open, I don't know if I want to say earlier, but maybe earlier.
I think it was the same time. I think
they're open later though.
Yeah, they're open later.
So Friday is like a late night thing, like a 4 to 8ish or something weird like that. And then Sunday is like, I'm pretty sure, I don't want to say for sure and then have people look it up, and I'm pretty sure. So this is the longest day of the weekend, and it's the day that the most people show up to, and it was toward the end of the day. So you do have to keep in mind they're human beings just like us, and they've had a long day. So like, I remember overhearing at one of the Wizard Worlds, the people that work there referred to it as the celebrity petting zoo, which is kind of funny. It's a little bit cruel, but I mean, it's not wrong.
They're not wrong.
But like, so yeah, they're human beings. So you can't be too critical, but at the same time, you're paying for this, and like, I mean, it sounds kind of bad, like, oh, I'm paying for this, so do a little dance. But it's not, like, some of them are so genuine.
Yeah, I don't think they really owe you anything past their signature. Anything they do beyond that is on them. And I had a lot of people that went the extra mile after I was, like, paying them, like, oh, I'll reduce the price, or I'll do this for you, because, I just appreciate you guys coming out here. And that seemed really genuine to me. You don't get to make them dance for like $20. You get their autograph. Although I do have the feeling Lloyd Kaufman probably would have danced for the $20. I have a feeling that guy would have danced for $5, but that is a dance you do not want to see.
You don't buy stuff that you don't want.
No, that would not be on my list for things to see at the con.
It is a horror convention, though. It would have been fitting.
Would have been horrifying. I have no doubt.
So something we haven't talked about is, so Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson from Clerks were there.
Yeah.
And it was Jeff Anderson's first ever con appearance.
That's funny how that worked out. It's the first ever convention that this man attends, and it's my first horror convention, or pop culture convention as they want to call it. But yeah, it was just kind of funny. That was really my main draw. As soon as Jesse told me that it was going to be those guys were going to be there, I was on board. I was like, now we have to do this.
It made it worth it, because like, no matter what he goes to now in the future, you were at the first one.
And I got him to sign my Clerks animated DVD, which probably no one else had signed. I don't know if it's going to be a collector's item, but I kept it in pretty good shape, so well, here's hoping.
I asked him how he was doing, if he had a good time, or if anyone had scared him off yet, and he said no. He was you could tell he was a little tired. Like, I was one fan interaction of probably hundreds through the day, let alone yesterday.
For a little while there.
So like, I'm sure he was tired, but he was really nice, and the lady that was running his booth with him reassured me. She's like, "Oh, he's having a great time." Like, she was she was eating it up.
That's kind of always like it's the job of the booth person to just be like the hype man. Like, oh, you're excited to meet this guy, and I'll just take that money for you.
Well, they're usually volunteers, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So it's probably people that are just like us that are eager to meet these people or be around these people, and they volunteer to help out. So
yeah, I could believe that.
Yeah, she seemed to be getting a kick out of him having a good time, and so that was fun. It was the only panel that they had today that was of interest to us.
Although we did come in at the end of speed painting, which was kind of cool, I gotta admit.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, we got to see the end of a Twisted painting, I think. Then the guy did Joker, and then finally did the Clerks. And the way that he did it, I mean, I think I've seen some speed painting stuff before, but the Joker one, just like, that was jaw-dropping.
It was thematic how he did it.
Yeah.
He used some sort of invisible paint or something, and he painted it. Couldn't see what he was doing, more or less, but he painted it.
That's the craziest thing. It's like I have to imagine that up close you can kind of see it. Maybe it's a little glossy or something, and kind of make out. Because otherwise, how the hell would you do it?
I don't know.
Just by memory? I mean, that's a skill in its own. I don't know how they would do that shit.
But then he just kind of started splashing it with different colors of paints, and you saw the picture, and it was like perfect painting of the Joker, of Joaquin's Joker.
And Brian O'Halloran, of course, while he's doing it, he's like, "Oh, it's a Yeti in a snowstorm."
Oh man.
But then, yeah, I mean, when he started splashing that paint, I mean, how poetic that was the way that he made that painting too. Like, that was too perfect. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that at auction that they were having later today or tomorrow, when we recorded this podcast, but I'm gonna guess that went upwards of $500 to $800 for that painting, easy.
Yeah, I bet it breaks 1,000.
Yeah, it very well could.
That was pretty impressive. Yeah, and if you saw how he, like, to look at the painting, you're like, oh, that's a cool looking, that's good painting. But to see how he did it, it was so much more impressive to see him do it.
You would never imagine that he did it in like 5 minutes, which puts everybody to shame.
He just painted it like perfectly, and you don't see anything, and then he splashes it with that color, and it runs down the painting and reveals the picture, and it was so cool. I hope somebody got that on video.
Oh, I'm sure they did. If you search speed painting on YouTube in the next couple of months, I'm sure one of those is going to pop up.
So was there anyone else that you met at this convention that stood out, or?
Yeah, I got to give a big shout out to Alex Vincent for doing the promo for this podcast. That was super nice of him. I was passing by, and I saw there was no line at his booth, and I'm like, finally. So I run over there, and I'm like, introduce myself. Hi, I'm Jonas. I love your movies. I had to ask, like, hey, how old are you? He says, oh, I'm 38. I'm like, that is amazing. You are only 3 years older than I am. So when you were making those movies, I was almost the same age as you. And he just gets kind of a laugh out of that, and I get my Blu-ray copy of Child's Play signed. And then after we were done, I'm like, hey, do you mind doing something a little extra? And he's like, I don't know, what are you talking about? So I told him about this
Rightfully
podcast.
So.
I know. I mean, when someone asks you that, they're about to take you in the bathroom and earn a quick $5 or something. But no, I was saying we were starting this podcast because we've been lifelong horror fans, and we think we can contribute to the podcast sphere, or whatever the hell they're calling it now. And I told him we came up with the perfect name, so this has got to work. It's called The Knife Shift. And you can just see the smile on his face, and he's just like, that's good. And I'm like, thank you. So we got him to record what you guys probably heard at the top of this podcast. And then right after him, Jesse came back over. And you remember it was like, we were talking about it for like 2 minutes before we're just like, let's just do it. Let's just go over to Nathan Basil and let's get him to do it too and see if he will. Because Jesse here, has made very good friends with Nathan Basil over the course of, I guess, more than this convention is the first time you met him.
Yeah.
But you were friends technically with him already.
Look, I'm pretty sure he didn't remember me, but he's such a genuine and nice person that, like, of course he wouldn't say that.
No, I couldn't see him doing it either.
But he was super nice. Like, don't get me started on Nathan Basil, because he was the reason that I wanted to go to this convention. I told him that too. I'm like, you're the reason I'm here, man. And he seemed like super shocked and impressed. And
I just also want to point out, you two were wearing the exact same shirt.
We were wearing the same shirt
of his movie.
In our picture, we got a picture together, and we're just pointing at my shirt because we're wearing the same shirt, and it was great. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. What were we talking about?
Oh, we were talking about any of the other real standout ones from my experience for getting stuff signed. Well, I mean, if I could just quickly shout out Bill Moseley for being just an awesome human being. When I was at his table, I was getting something signed for a buddy of mine at work, and he wanted to get his 3 from Hell signed. I guess his girlfriend's a huge fanatic for Bill Moseley, and that's what they had. So I got that one signed, and I got my copy of Texas Chainsaw 2 signed, of course. And while I'm waiting to get it signed, I see there's a vinyl on the table, and I am always a nut for records, so I had to give it a look-see. And it was, I guess it was a duet kind of compilation between Bill Moseley and I cannot for the life of me remember who the other guy was, but it looked like some weird kind of twangy, evil country music kind of thing. I could be wrong, I haven't listened to it yet, but it looked awesome, and I'm like, I'm picking this up. There's no price tag on it though. Now I'm looking at his prices, there's CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays listed, and autographs, and no vinyl price, so I'm like, I'll just take a chance. So he tells me it was $50, and along with the 2 signatures I'm getting, I'm looking at $130, and I'm like, oh man, it's kind of expensive. I didn't say that, of course, and he's just like, looks at me, he's like, well, you know what we're gonna do? I'll make it $100. I'm like, you know what, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say they wouldn't, but I don't know many celebrities that would do that.
Not a lot of the celebrities would, but a surprising amount of the vendors were doing deals.
Oh yeah.
Like if I bought like 3 things, they'd knock the price down. If I bought a 4th movie, they'd throw in a 5th one for free. Like a lot of that kind of stuff was going on.
Yeah, I didn't buy too much, but there was someone who had a bunch of Sin City figures, like action figures. Had never seen them before, and they varied in price from like $15 to $25, and they had colored ones and black and white ones, because you know the movie is black and white.
Yeah.
Or it's shaded, cell shaded. Is that the right?
I think you could call it black and white, like, but CGI touched up
like,
a little bit.
It's got certain parts that have color, but you know the movie.
Yeah.
So they had figures of characters in black and white and in colored versions.
The Yellow Bastard would be.
They had them.
That I would. Yeah, I'd probably get that one. That or Clive Owen's character. I forget what his name was.
I don't remember either. But I ended up picking up 2 of those. One of them had a $25 price on it, and one had a $15, and they sold them both to me for $30.
See, yeah.
So
it's $5 here, $10 there. You can save a good amount of money. If you're gonna be buying a bunch of stuff there, try to just stick to one booth for a little while and see what kind of a deal you can work out. Because a lot of those guys, they're not set prices. They might have price tags on them, but you can talk to them and they can knock them down. Like that, I got 4 issues of Pumpkinhead comic, and I was like thrilled that I found those. And that plus another vinyl that I got was totaling, I think he was saying like close to 90, but he knocked off $10, just like, we'll call it 80. And like the majority of that was $60 for the vinyl, and that was the soundtrack for The Void, which I know Jesse's not exactly thrilled about that movie, but that movie is awesome.
I don't hate the movie. It just,
it's not your thing. It's more of the extreme side. I get that.
Yeah, it's the gore horror. It's the weird. It's like the weird. Look.
The
Most
line where they're like, "We're in hell."
No, most of you probably have not seen The Void. For those of you who have seen The Void, it's the hideous globby creature thing that you encounter in the first part of the movie.
It's not just that it's gory; it's that it's wet. That wet gore somehow makes it worse.
It's just so disturbing to look at, and they don't shy away from any of it.
No.
And I'm like, So yeah, it was a bit disturbing. Jonas likes the gore horror. He likes those 80s films.
The gorier the better. Give me Reanimator any day.
I like films with hardly any gore that are just weird, creepy, like The Grudge. That's just weird, creepy. There's hardly any gore there.
So
It's just, or like The Strangers, where it's like, it's terrifying that there's somebody that we don't know who they are. They don't know who we are. They're just there because they want to hurt you.
Yeah,
and like they're just kind of lingering around your house. That to me is what's effective to me.
When they came up with that as an idea for a movie, I mean, I know it was like based on like one of the writers or directors like had a scary experience or something, but I mean,
very loosely.
That's such a good concept. Just we're just here because you were here. Just like that's the only reason.
Because you were home.
Yeah.
So if I remember correctly, the basis of the story was it the director? Did he do any of the writing, or I don't know? One of the creators of the film.
I want to say it was the director. I want to say it was a writer-director. I want to say he did both.
Well,
Left IMDb us to see if we're just like pulling stuff out of our ass right now.
yeah, like I said, I'm not going to say for sure. The point is that that one of the creators, the one that got the idea, he said that when he was a kid, somebody knocked on his door like that, and was asking if like it's like is Cameron here,
yeah.
you know? But it was that kind of thing. I don't know if they asked if his parents were there or if they asked for a specific name. I think they were just saying a random name, but they were just knocking to see if people were home. And it turned out that those people were going around and breaking into houses when nobody answered the door.
I will just say this now. If any kids are listening to this, if anyone knocks on your door and asks if your parents are home, you say yes. Always say yes.
And if any kids are listening to this, don't go around knocking on people's doors asking for Damon, because we don't need that in our lives.
No, actually, I don't want to get too real with this whole thing, but there was some kid that got shot not that long ago that was playing Ding Dong Ditch.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's like somebody took it way too far. Like there was somebody ringing their doorbell and he just came out blasting. It's a different world now. You really don't want to pull that kind of crap anymore.
It's not a game, folks. So, I want to get back to the convention a little bit here, and I just want to say, I don't know if I said this already or not, but Nathan Basil is such a wonderful human being.
Yes, I think we've gotten on the Basil train.
Look. One, I hope to God that I'm not butchering his last name. That's how I always assume that you say it.
You didn't ask him when you were standing right next to him?
Just to be clear, your last name, man. Can you enunciate that for me?
It's Bazil, you dirty bastard. Now he's gonna hate you.
No, so he's just really nice. So what happened was, I have a friend, and we were chatting, and we were kind of cheesing over Behind the Mask. We were kind of figuring out what movies he had seen and what movies I'd seen, and just kind of talking about ones we'd both seen and liked. And we were cheesing over that movie and how good it is. And if you haven't seen Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, stop this and go watch it.
Yeah, you really deserve to watch that movie.
It's great. Nathan Basil's the main actor in the film. He plays Leslie Vernon.
How that movie did not blow up bigger, I am just astounded. I will be surprised if Joe Bob does not review that movie at some point. If he hasn't already, I'm not exactly sure. He watches so many damn movies, but he doesn't have time to show them all in his show. But yeah, I would bet he would probably like that movie too.
So we're talking about this movie, and he told me like, oh, well, you know, he's on Facebook and he's super nice, and if you send him a request and just say like, hey, I'm a fan and I just wanted to chat with you or just let you know that I liked your film and yada yada, that he would add you and message you back because he was a really cool guy. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was kind of nervous about it. I never added any celebrities before, and I was kind of like, oh, like, well, do you think it's weird? But I ended up, I built up the courage to do it, and I messaged him, and I do a Halloween party every year, and for the second party I did, I was Leslie Vernon. I did a Leslie Vernon costume, and I made a Leslie Vernon mask using plaster cloth, and I painted it.
Made it yourself. That is how much of a fan you are. Didn't get gouged on eBay or Etsy or some crap.
At the time, this was the second year I did. This is what, 2012?
Yeah.
They didn't have any officially licensed merch for Behind the Mask.
Do they have masks now?
They do sell them now.
I saw somebody wearing one today.
Yeah. So but at the time you couldn't buy one, so I made it, and I sent him pictures of it, and of course he was really genuine and messaged me back and was like, oh, I'm so impressed. I'm sure it's not that great of a costume, but but he was really nice about it, and we chatted for quite a while. I don't know if it just seems like it in my head now because it's so blown out of proportion, but I'm pretty sure we messaged back and forth for a couple days, and I've just had him on Facebook since then, and I just remember making a post. I don't remember what it was, but I remember seeing Nathan Basil liked it or something like that, and I'm like, he liked my post.
Just fangirled out for a second.
Fangirling over it. But it's awesome. He's the reason that I came out here, and I had him sign 3 things, and he was the cheapest. He was next to the cheapest autograph that you could get at the convention. I was so excited.
Next to Lloyd Kaufman's free.
Yeah, he only charged $20.
That's pretty good.
I haven't run into somebody who only charged that since my first convention. The first person I ever met was James DeVoe, who plays Frank in Donnie Darko.
Oh man, see, I know him as so many other things, but go on.
Well, he only charged $20. Obviously, money has the value of money has decreased, and prices have gone up since then. That was quite a while back. But back then, the lower priced autographs were about $20. Now they're usually $30, $40. I think we got lucky because this is a smaller convention. That or, Nathan's just so nice that he just doesn't charge that much.
I don't know. I kind of think it might be both. It's just
he didn't charge for a photo either.
No, and neither did Alex Vincent. He was just yeah, it's an all-in-one combo. You want a picture? I'm like, hell yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I just noticed this. I don't want to go off on a tangent or anything, but I think this is really true. The more I've interacted with people in the horror community, not just at this convention, but on Twitter, follow me at McKeever Jonas, Coffin Jonas, if you're nasty. But
is that real?
Yeah, that's really my Twitter name.
Okay.
But no, I interact with Darcy and Joe Bob and people like that all the time, and the whole Mutant fam. Big shout out to you guys, everybody over on Shudder. You're doing a good job doing what you're doing. But what I'm saying is, the horror community, while we watch these ghastly, grotesque things and just revel in just bloody guts and all kinds of carnage, they're some of the nicest damn people I have ever met.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that juxtaposition exists, but it's universal.
And that's what they say about, a lot of the creators of this horror, of these horror titles. Wes Craven, they said that he was one of the sweetest, nicest guys.
I believe it.
I know for certain Wes Craven. I'm not for sure on Stephen King, but I'm like, they say that he's soft-spoken, and like, it's these people that come up with all this deranged stuff, and they're really just...
There's some kind of screw loose in there, but it doesn't translate into being a homicidal maniac. It's just a half turn of the screw. After you get that half turn, then you can make all the gory stuff, but you don't participate in it. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Look, I'm not gonna go on a tangent, but this is why I get really heated when we have those like horror movies promote violence, kind of like, oh, well, this person shot up these people because they watched horror films, and I couldn't feel more against that than I do.
It couldn't be because they watched action movies.
Well,
because there's a lot of guns in action movies.
But the point in general being that, like, oh, you watch a movie and the movie's like, hey, but this is violence, so you go out and commit violence.
Yeah, it's definitely all bullshit.
I do not buy it. Like, we are smart enough, even at our lowest, we're smart enough to tell the difference between a movie and reality. Or,
if anybody can't do that,
it's an issue of mental illness,
exactly.
not an issue of the movie. Or I don't want to go down this tirade.
Bail.
But back to the convention. It's just, I got to chat quite a bit with Nathan, and he was super nice. If I haven't said that enough, I got several things autographed. He didn't charge me for a photo. I felt bad because the people behind me, there were a couple people at the time behind me, not too many, but they had to have been standing there for like 10 or 15 minutes just while we chatted. And I kind of kept like looking back. I even said out loud to Nathan a couple times, I'm like, I feel bad because they're like waiting, but he just kind of didn't acknowledge it, and we kept talking.
I just think that kind of thing that you were talking about just now about him, focusing on you, not really acknowledging the people behind you, that's one of the things that's like a hallmark of a real person. Like, he's not just because he had a small movie, because he didn't blow up and Hollywood didn't like turn him into an asshole, but that's the kind of thing you want to see, is somebody that looks at you and not the money behind you waiting in line, and actually you're the person that matters because you're the one in front of me right now. And that's something you don't get very often with some of these people. They're just like, okay, next in line.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. Like, obviously you have a bunch of different fan encounters, and it's just, he sets a standard for what you look for, and getting to meet someone that you look up to, or someone that was in part of something that you really like that movie, something that I really appreciate and really respect, and he was a big part of that. And then you meet him, and he's like he's so much more than I would have hoped for him to be in real life.
Should have invited him out to the Wings place.
We didn't know about the Wings place.
No, we didn't.
Did we talk about the Wings place?
No, we haven't gotten there yet. No, before that, I just wanted to mention the panel that we went to. We're probably jumping around a lot in this, but that's to be expected. We're somewhat novice at this, but the panel for the Clerks 20th anniversary reunion, it was pretty awesome. They told some stories and just talked up front for a little while, which I appreciate that they did it that way, because there were so many people in there that if they would have sat down at the chairs that were provided, we never would have been able to see them. But yeah, when they were talking, Brian and Jeff, they brought up some things that I was curious about, but they left out one big thing. So when the questions opened up, I was the first hand in the air, and somehow by luck, I get called first. And I usually do pretty good with crowds, and I just stood up and I'm like, one question. Or no, what did I said?
You said that they were awesome.
You guys are awesome. I've been a long-time fan. You just got one question. Clerks 3 win? And there was a little bit of laughter, and Brian says something to the effect of, Kevin's still working on it, so...
Yeah, that's a Kevin question.
Yeah, that's a Kevin question, and I'm just like, well, can you get him on the phone? And some more like, ooh, and then Brian, fucking sharp as ever, he's just like, no, because I'm not your mom.
I'm not
Fucking
your
A. Oh my God. Roasted by Brian O'Halloran in front of a room full of con attendees. My life's ambition has been completed. Although I totally thought Jeff Anderson was going to be the one to roast me, if anyone would. I came dressed as Randall, and I totally expected him to be like, no, you're not Randall enough.
That was great, though. But it came full circle, right?
It did. When I went to go get my my DVD signed by Brian and Jeff, when I went over to Jeff, I talked to him first. He was nice. When I went over to Brian, as soon as I was up to get signed, there was some guy that was just like butting in, trying to be like an attention hog and trying to get Brian to like interact with him for free. And Brian's just kind of like trying to brush him off. So he doesn't really look at me when the booth helper is passing him the DVD to sign. And then when he looks up, I just like make eye contact with him. I'm like, you're not my mom, huh? Sharp as ever, Brian. And he's like, oh, it's you. Like, oh, he said, yeah, thanks for participating. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'm just glad I could get a laugh out of him too.
That's great, though.
Yeah, I just thought it was like a last minute, right before I got up to his table. I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I know what I'm going to do.
What did he do? Did he like, what was his facial expression? Did he?
It just like, at first it was like a half second of shock, like he doesn't understand the words. And then he looks up and he just smiles when he sees who it is, that it was the guy in the room that asked the question that he had to smack down. But yeah, in all honesty, they were serious about it for a second there when they were saying Clerks 3 was finished, but the draft was a little bit too dark. And I guess that's why after Kevin's heart attack, he rewrote it. So we're getting a more lighthearted romp this next Clerks. But you know, I'm all right with that. I'm all right with any Kevin Smith movie getting made in 2020. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's Red State 2. Hey, put me down for Red State 2. That would be fucking awesome.
They brought up Mallrats 2 again, which
yeah,
which
and he
has
did say
been-
that when he was answering my question. He's like, and Mallrats 2 is in development. And I'm like, fucking finally.
That's been in the works for quite some time.
But you can imagine that is going to be the dark one because, damn, are there going to be 3 stores open? Like one restaurant and
you-
like one whole department store gets turned into a gym, the other one gets turned into a church.
And not to get super dark, but you know, Stan Lee was in it, and like with him, he passed. And so yeah, I imagine that one is gonna be. It's gonna have the feels.
Oh, they can always get Batfleck.
I'm sure they would.
They might get Batfleck back.
Yeah. So tell me about these wings that we got.
Well, we were done with our conning activities by about 5 o'clock. And we were trying to get out of there. We get to the car, we unload all of our stuff, and we're sitting in the car just Googling, you know, what's near me, restaurants. And we saw a couple things pop up. There was the hotel restaurant, looked okay. But we zoomed out a little bit more, and we saw one that caught my eye. It was just called Wing Snobs. And I'm like, well, with a name like that, you've really got to bring it. So I talked this guy into going.
It was made for Jonas.
I mean, I am kind of a food snob. I usually cook for myself most of the time because other people can't get it right. But, yeah, I can't say enough good things. Wing Snobs in Sterling Heights. Eat there. Holy crap, is it good chicken. B-dubs, you fucked up. You don't even know what chicken is anymore.
I think it was a chain, though.
It might have been. If you can find, maybe it's not all of them. Maybe it's not all of them. Maybe it's a local chain. But, yeah, Wing Snobs, man. Knocked it out of the damn park.
It was, like I was saying, there's a place in Pioneer where I'm from, and they have, I can get 12 wings, but out the door carry out, it's going to cost me $14. I'm talking boneless wings, because that's what I eat, because I'm a child. But out the door, it's $14, which is pretty expensive. That's no drink, no fries, just 12 wings. And then, we went there, I got 10 boneless wings, I got fries, and I got a drink, and I ate there. I didn't take it to go, and it cost me less than that, and the wings were way bigger. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and they let you split the order too.
Yeah, and I got 2 different flavors.
Which
So-
not a lot of wing places will let you do that.
Not to dwell on the food too much, but
This
we
is an
just-
advertisement
it's
for
not an advertisement.
wing snobs. I'm sorry, but you guys are the best. I will continue to eat your wings. Thank you very much. You can pay us.
It was pretty good.
I don't think we're going to get sponsorship.
But I do want to say, Nathan Basil confirmed something for me. We were talking about, so I brought my mask that I made for my Leslie Vernon costume and had him sign it. And the only person I had signed that up to this point was Scott Wilson. And Scott Wilson passed. And so we talked about that a little bit. And Nathan asked me how he was, because I got to meet him. And we talked about him a little bit. And it almost got a little emotional. But, because he worked with them. And, I'm sure there was love there because they,
I mean, that guy was great in The Walking Dead too. I gotta say, he was like one of the big reasons I kept watching it for as long as I did.
yeah. I heard like a weird ding.
Oh, that was my notification tone.
Oh, okay. So I asked him about the rumor that Eugene and Behind the Mask is actually based after Billy from Black Christmas. And he, before I even finished what I was saying, he was shaking his head, yeah. He knew where I was going with it. And he said that was always the intention in the writing and the lines that he has.
You got it.
Yeah, you go in, you hit him hard once, and then you get out of there. You don't come back for more. And
Well, I didn't think about it until the last time you mentioned it, but the ending of Black Christmas,
he's still...
the final girl is just passed out in the bed. He just comes down the stairs and just takes her. And then they go out and live their life as, the two from Behind the Mask. It makes perfect sense now.
Yeah, it's great.
It really was his final girl. Aww.
It's really great. I also said something to him on the lines of it sucks that we never got the sequel, and he just kind of looked at me well, it may happen yet. That may happen yet. So I don't know if that's just wishful thinking or
Cross your fingers.
yeah, I don't know if that's just wishful thinking or if there's something more there. But that would be really cool. I know they made it in comic book form, kind of, or at least part of it in comic book form.
I'm gonna have to read those from you sometime because I am curious what happens.
And it won't be the same without Scott Wilson being able to come back and do it. But I would still love to get what we can.
Idea. Instead of Scott Wilson, we have another horror alum just make a pop-up appearance as possibly somebody that's maybe helping Leslie on the lam. You just have, maybe not one of the, because they named him. They said, Mike, Fred. But just have somebody else that's low-key an iconic character from a horror series. My pick would be Tom Savini. If Tom Savini just shows up as just the guy that's getting him somewhere, and he's secretly, Sex Machine or, one of the bikers from Dawn of the Dead, I mean, that would be perfect.
Yeah. He goes through a lot of these too.
That's one, I just watched the documentary for him on Shudder, and it was awesome. I wasn't sure what I was getting into, but that guy seems like a really good guy to meet too. And that guy, I mean, he's one of the horror icons I would love to meet one day, because he's done so much goddamn work that just everyone goes to him now. His school was the main school to go learn how to do practical effects, which sadly enough is a dying art form.
He was at Horror Hound last year.
Oh man.
That was such a wonderful weekend, by the way. I already mentioned previously that it was a Scream reunion. There was Matthew Lillard, Nev Campbell, Jamie Kennedy, David Arquette, and dang it, I can't remember her name. The one that was in Charmed, right?
I can't think of it either, damn it.
I hate myself for drawing a blank on here, but and the sheriff, one of the stuntmen that played Ghostface, there were a lot of them there. It was really cool. And and then there was a Watchmen reunion. And what's the guy you're talking about?
Tom Savini.
He just showed up. Like, as far as I'm aware, I might be wrong once again, but as far as I'm aware, he wasn't even on the guest list.
Yeah, I totally believe
but
it.
But he was just there, not with the guests, but he was in they had what was called like Mask Fest.
Okay.
And it was a whole section that was only makeup and masks and stuff, and he had a booth set up over there. And
That's
he
the
was
kind of
just
place that I would like to see too, because one day I will drop way too much money on one of the masks from Immortal Masks, because those guys are amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So who else did I meet? Simon Rex, who he does the scary movie stuff. He was in Shriek,
yeah.
If You Know What I Did last Friday the 13th. And I guess he's a rapper. And I don't listen to rap, but I enjoy him in the movies he was in, so I went over to meet him. I asked him, I was like, oh, you don't have anything from Shriek? And he was sitting next to one of his buddies, or I assume they were buddies, they were kind of chatting. I think he was another rapper, and he was explaining to his buddy what I was talking about. Like, oh yeah, I was in this movie forever ago that was before Scary Movie, but it was like the same movie. So then what they did is they bought that movie so it didn't look like they were copying them, and then they buried that movie. And then like I was like, oh, that's kind of messed up. He's like, it's the business, man. Like,
didn't that movie have Tom Arnold in it?
Yes, it had Tom Arnold in it.
I thought so. I know I've seen that movie. That's the one where the girl is like running down the street and there's like a road sign that says like safe this way, certain death this way, and she just goes to certain death.
I think that is actually in Scary Movie.
Was
but
it?
That's the point, like the lines blur, man.
Yeah.
They
Maybe
were
they reused it.
They were like the same movie. So yeah, like these movies were so similar that the one bought the other one out and kind of buried it so that it wouldn't make their new upcoming movie look bad. Like
It's so weird when you try to bury a movie. Like eventually it's gonna get out again. I mean, there's the internet, there's conventions like this. Like, you know how many weird movies that I saw, and I'll have to show you when we get off the road.
Please don't. No, but like I made the comment, I was like, that's kind of messed up, and he was like, it's just the business, man. Like, he didn't take any of it personally. He was a really chill guy. Like, he didn't seem like he had much like many grudges there, and I'm like, it's cool that, you know, you still managed to stay on it and you got back into the franchise after it was kind of, you know, taken over by Scary Movie. And he's like, yeah, and I ended up in both of them. Like, that's kind of crazy. But he was a really down-to-earth guy, and you could tell that he was probably more so like there for his rap, but all the same, he appreciated
There were a lot of white rappers at that whole event.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, the guy that was doing the questions at the panel, like the guy with the mic and who was asking follow-up questions and things, that was Blaze.
Was it?
That was Blaze, you dead homie.
I don't know anything about any of this.
I mean, this is why I'm sure about this. Like, right when we walked in, he was still in makeup. There's something about, like, even under makeup, I can remember face shapes. And as soon as his makeup came off, his face was so identifiable. Like, I could tell, like, that was the same guy I saw in face paint earlier. And I didn't notice it when he handed me the mic. But yeah, just for all you juggalos out there, Blaze, you dead homie, handed me the mic. Just so you know, putting that out there.
I just want to say that for it being an ICP kind of event, there was not nearly enough Faygo.
Yeah, no, I saw Faygo behind one person's, like, stall. Bill Moseley had some Faygo hidden underneath his table, too.
I don't want to jump to stereotypes, but I was expecting free Faygo, and we didn't get any
on the
free
way down
Faygo.
there. We were saying, if there aren't, you know, just water coolers full of Faygo, like we get Moon Mist, Rock and Rye, and Cola sitting at the front of this thing, I'm going to be surprised. Hell, we thought we were going to see Hatchet Men on, you know, car decals on the way down there.
Oh, well, you did when we got
saw
there.
one when we got in the parking lot, but that's to be expected. That was Juggalo Central at that point.
Yeah.
But I'll add to your thought. It was way more chill, just way more respectful. I don't know what they did to keep all those guys in line. Smoked a lot of weed, but I have my suspicions about people being chilled there. I think it was because of a law that got passed in Michigan recently, but hey, good for them.
Yeah, very little Fago. What were we talking about? Before the Fago-ness and the icy penis.
Well, don't ever say icy penis.
Oh my gosh,
That is the wrong way to say that.
There's a perfect joke in there somewhere. Someone just needs to write the.
I think it probably has to do with the new Jack Frost 4 coming out soon.
Oh my gosh.
I got an icy penis for you. Not really. I don't know if maybe there already was a Jack Frost 4. I don't know. I know there was the second one. I don't know if there was a third one.
Oh my gosh.
But no, we were talking about before that just about you meeting some of the rapper icons that you have that also make horror movies.
It was the one, and I asked him because we talked about Shriek and how he didn't have anything for it, and I didn't want him to think that, because I think at first he thought that since he didn't have anything, I wasn't gonna like get an autograph or anything. But he had a photo that was of him doing his Eminem parody in Scary Movie 3, and I picked out that photo, and I asked him if he'd write a line from Shriek on that photo. So he signed a Scary Movie. He's like, yeah, sure. Like he didn't care, and he's like, no problem. And he signed the Scary Movie 3 photo for me of him like Eminem with the microphone. And he wrote a line from Shriek If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th on it for me, which was in the movie he does like a Grease parody where he's in the shop working on a car, and he's like, it's systematic, it's hydromatic, it's grease lightning, and he starts doing the dance, but the other mechanics just kind of look at him like he's an idiot, and they like walk off.
Yeah, I remember.
And he's kind of lying. He's like, well, of course it's dumb if nobody else sings. And that's what I had him. That's what I had him write on the autograph. So it's him from Scary Movie 3 with the microphone as Eminem, but he wrote, of course it's dumb if nobody else sings. It is great. I love it.
That is kind of the psychotic kind of signature that's just all over the place.
I was like, you don't remember the line, do you? And he's like, no, I don't. But well, he was like, now I do now that you said it. He's like, I don't remember what I eat for breakfast though. So he's like, don't take it personally, man.
Like good old Michigan weed.
So he was really cool. Everybody's just really chill. Some people that were there that we didn't end up meeting. Walt Jr. was there for Breaking Bad.
I know, and I passed by him like, that guy looks amazingly not crippled.
Yeah.
He did not have breakfast in front of him, so I wasn't sure who it was.
Yeah. Jonas was talking about getting a box of cereal signed because he likes his breakfast.
I mean, really, you can't say that you've watched 8 seasons of that show and didn't see him eat breakfast like every episode.
That's true. Who else was there?
Oh, really quick, I gotta say, since you were saying what he signed on yours, Tom Atkins, when he signed my card from the Halloween 3 soundtrack, I love that I didn't read what it said until I got out to the parking lot. It says, stop it. And I'm like, most people aren't going to recognize what I think most people that are of the younger generation aren't going to know a lot of Tom Atkins movies, but he was in Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and it was one of the most iconic scenes where he's just shouting into a telephone, stop it, stop it! And it's just like so over the top. It was like his Oscar moment. And of course, they had to snub him because they could never get an Oscar to a movie where children's heads explode with bugs. But I mean, I'd give that to an Oscar any day. But yeah, I saw that. Now I'm thinking like, I'm framing this damn thing.
That's great, though. Just some last closing thoughts. Was there anyone that you haven't talked about that either you did or didn't meet?
I think I've talked about everybody that I met. I mean, Lloyd Kaufman was awesome. He's at his age, to be as enthused as he is, man, he's got to be on something too. But I'll just give another shout out to Bill Moseley, because that guy's just an icon. And I'm going to say this, as a man to man, he has really pretty eyes. Like, seriously, you could get lost in that man's eyes. And I think that's why half the women were in that line. But there were also people ahead of me. There was a weird old guy with a typewriter case that was pulling out socks for him to sign. I didn't get it. Somebody behind me in line is like, that's got to be one of the...
Turn on battery saver.
Okay.
We're all gonna die.
But that's got to be one of the weirdest things that he signed. And I turned to her in line. I'm just like, that's probably not even top 10. This guy's been around for a long time. I'm guessing he's signed some crazy stuff over the years. So really, in summation, I think we had an awesome time with you guys at Astronomicon 3. Highly recommend the con. The only thing I would say that might improve it, I think you guys might have to move to a bigger convention space.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're right. I like the atmosphere that the hotels bring when they're in like hotels like that. But you're right. Like, we could not find parking, and I guarantee you, we were not the last ones there.
People were just ditching it into like the sides of fields trying to get into this damn thing. We're not making this up. If you were at Astronomicon 3 and you showed up at about 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. on Saturday, you know.
I did meet, I feel bad because I don't remember his name. It was CJ something, but he was the actor that played Jason Voorhees in Jason Lives, part 6.
Yeah.
I did have
Part 6 was a good one too.
Yeah. I did have him sign my hockey mask.
That's awesome. Now, how many do you have?
It's been signed by Ken Kurtzinger, who did Freddy vs. Jason, and it's been signed by Kane Hodder, who did 7, 8, 9, and 10. So
really,
right now, it's been signed from everyone from 6 to 11.
So now you just got like 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was all the same guy.
Was it?
Well, no, 5 wasn't. 5 was just, well, was it? Now I'm not too sure. I know 5, it wasn't even Jason. Spoiler alert.
Uh-oh.
But, yeah. 3 and 4 were probably the same guy. But 5 might have been. I'm not 100% on that one, but it wasn't even Jason. So that's 5. I got 5 and 6 in a 2-pack Blu-ray for like $5 off of Amazon. And I've watched 5 a whopping total of 1 time. And I've watched 6 probably 4 or 5 times at this point, so I think that says all you need to know on that.
I felt kind of, I felt a little awkward. I walked up there and, he signed it, and I just kind of small talked a little bit, and then, something they'll ask you like, oh, we get a photo, or like, you getting a photo or something, and I hate being put on the spot like that. And my response was like, no, I didn't pay. I only paid for the autograph. And that to me is like something awkward to have to say. Maybe it's not to him. Maybe it's in my head, but I'm like...
Well, a lot of them, it was just all in one. I mean, Bill Moseley did that. It was... Alex Vincent did that. But, Brian O'Haller and Jeff Anderson didn't even ask.
Yeah?
They didn't even ask.
That's awesome.
They were just like, here's your signature. And I'm like, all right, thanks. And it was like when I was walking away, I'm like... Oh, yeah, because you have to pay the extra money to get both of them in the photo. I didn't even remember that. But that's good because by then I was over budget anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm already going to catch a reaming when I get home about that. But I got so many movies.
And vinyls.
I have to hide all of this because, if he finds out about this, he's just going to break him over my head.
You don't think he'll listen to this podcast?
No comment. Probably not.
He's got about an hour to go to get to this part, so let's see if he passes the test.
If he can get this far into it without just swiping through to the end, I will be amazed.
I'm look, I'm pretty proud of myself. I got in and out of there, and I only bought, aside from my signatures and that, I only bought those 2 Sin City figures. So yeah, there were a couple of Funko Pops I looked at that I kind of wanted to get, but I was like, you know what, I don't need to buy more Funko Pops, and I didn't. So I'm proud of myself.
There's like a guy ahead of me in line actually bought the Bill Moseley 3 from Hell, or not, it wasn't the 3 from Hell, I think it might have been the Devil's Rejects Pop, and then just walked it right over there to get it signed by Bill. But I did something similar. I bought a kind of, I want to say like 11 by 17 poster print of the Toxic Avenger, and I took that right over to Lloyd to get signed.
Yeah.
But it was like, it's funny when he was looking at it, he was like turning it over and he's like, we don't make this. Where did he get this thing? But yeah, they had like the official ones for like $10 more at his table. It's like,
funny.
you know, I didn't know it was there. I totally would have bought it from you, Lloyd, but I just saw that one first. But yeah, I think I probably got, let's see, 4 Pumpkinhead comics, a Pumpkinhead movie poster that was originally from the 80s, which is like, that's a steal. I mean, it might be folded, but
Really?
I don't care.
He stole it.
I mean, maybe.
No,
I don't care. I still spent $35 on it, and I feel happy about it because I will never, well, 35, 40, something like that. But yeah, I'll never find that poster again. Trying to find that on eBay or Amazon, like you're looking at $80, $90, $100, probably more than that, if you could even find it. And then other than that, I mean, a couple of weird records that were like $2 a piece and some random comic book kind of little kiosk thing. And then, oh man, one of the first place I stopped at was Synapse Films, and they do a lot of like re-releases of classic movies. I think I bought like 3 Blu-rays from them, and one of them is the steelbook of the classic Suspiria, and it was going for $70, and they made me a hell of a deal.
And you haven't seen that yet, right?
I have not, and that is my secret shame that I talk about all these classic movies, and there are 1 or 2 that did get by me that I have not had the chance to watch. I shouldn't say chance, but yeah, now I have it, so I have no excuse to not watch it.
We've all got them. We've all got a list of movies that we keep hidden from everyone else that we have not seen. Maybe we'll do a podcast specifically on letting it out and talking about the iconic movies that we have not yet seen.
I'm gonna get you to watch Street Trash yet.
That is not an iconic movie.
It is for some.
That is not an iconic movie. I'm talking.
Need that good old-fashioned milk.
I have never seen Prom Night.
That's another one, yeah.
And I think that we will go further into this. I think that would be a fun topic to go into.
I mean, I watched Prom Night years ago, but I just watched Prom Night 2, Hello, Mary Lou for the first time.
That does not sound good.
Oh, it's one of them movies. It's very divisive, I would say. You either love it or you hate it, and you're like, this is schlock. I enjoyed it.
I don't want to get too much into it right now. I'm just saying, I think that we should, for another time, I think we should have a podcast. If people want to hear it, people want to listen to us talk about it, about iconic movies that we have not yet seen, and whether or not we should work toward knocking that off our list.
Sound off in the comments. What do you guys think? Should we do it a little bit different of a format? This is definitely going to have better audio quality next time, we promise.
And yeah, any tips or like any suggestions you guys have, we're just getting started, and we're open to suggestions. So we are flawed people, and if you guys can help, that's great.
I almost thought you said flogged, like we were punished.
No,
punish.
We're doing, we do this because we enjoy it, but we also are doing it for potential viewers or listeners in this case that want to actually hear us talk. So
we do it because we like to do it, and we like what we're talking about. And if you like what we're talking about, then hey, come along and join us for the ride sometime.
We want to find more people that feel the same way as we do about these things.
We know
So
you're out there watching,
that's the
waiting.
goal. So I really liked the convention. I had a good time. Jonas, like we said, this was your first horror convention experience. Just a summary, how did you feel about it, and are you realistically are you planning on doing any more? Because I know financially it'll be difficult probably for a while, but
Am I plan on doing more? Fucking A.
yeah,
That's gonna be something that we're gonna have to. Ooh, Burt Road. We just made fun of that on the way up here. We just passed it again. No, definitely. That is one of those things that I'm gonna have to budget a little bit better. I'm gonna look into tightening the belts a little bit.
we're gonna have to look at a no vinyl rule for you
Sure.
so you can survive.
Like last year, we did no buy November. We're gonna just no
Yeah.
buy life.
No buy life. Those vinyl though, like, you know,
Some of those,
$40
yeah.
a pop.
It's like, we love you, Waxworks, but damn if you aren't just, you're worth every penny, but man, you make me spend money on you, and then you just give me good records. It's like, why am I even bitching about this?
Horror Hound Weekend is around the corner, and they have some big names going. Robert Englund, Tony Todd. They just announced all 3 of the strangers from The Strangers Pray at Night.
Well, that's why you want to go.
And they're doing a photo op every day in costume. They're on screen. They're screen used props from the movie, and that sounds like the coolest thing in the world. I have to go. So maybe you guys will get podcasts of the aftermath of that one. Unless you have any final thoughts, we'll close out.
I'll say we'll see what happens on that one. I don't know if I'm going to make it down or not. I want to, but yeah, it's all kind of up in the air right now. But I guess my only final thoughts would be Astronomicon 3, thanks for having us. It was a great time. But yeah, that parking lot was horrible. But thanks for listening, guys.
But it was free.
Yeah.
Free parking. We'll take it.
Yeah.
I'm Jesse from the... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, you restart over.
I was just gonna say I'm Jesse from the Knife Shift, and I was gonna leave it open for you.
Okay.
Are you gonna?
Oh, I thought you were. Now you're gonna have to do some serious editing. And I'm Jonas from the Knife Shift.
I'm gonna leave it all in.
That's how horrible and shitty our first podcast is.
Ooh, all right, you guys. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Later.